I happened to get into a really incredible conversation yesterday. There was a lady at Walmart who approached me. She was one of the tellers, or it was at the self check where there was like a plethora of registers that you could check yourself out, and she was kind of monitoring them basically to help assist anybody with anything, right? Well, anyways, she approached me and she said she was curious if I had work today. And I was like, actually I did. And then she proceeded to, and she's a super sweet lady. I've seen her multiple times. We've literally been in Wyoming for only about 3 weeks now. And I think it's just, we're pushing 3 weeks. And I've seen her a few times because there's only one Walmart here in this little town. And we go there frequently just because it's close by, and we've just needed a lot of things as we've been traveling. But anyways, I've seen this lady a few times, and each time I see her, she's super sweet. She's super nice. She's very friendly to everybody. She's real, just a kind-hearted person. But she approached me and she asked me about work, and then she was like, well, you seem like you have a lot of energy. What is it you do? And I was like, primarily, it's investing. And she was like, investing? Like, what does that mean? And I was like, I really I started trying to explain. And as I started trying to explain, she asked more questions. And as she asked more questions, the conversation just kind of evolved, right? And I explained to her that ultimately, yes, I love the stock market. I've been investing in the stock market for some time now, and I absolutely do appreciate it. I do. I like the stock market. I understand it. I feel I understand it. There's always more to learn, and I'm always learning more, but it's incredible. But it's a long-term investment, right? I'm a firm believer in the long-term investment when it comes to the stock market. I'm investing into a company and buying shares, looking at what I'm going to make next year, what I'm going to see next quarter. You always want to be in the right moment that next quarter you see some growth, right? But I'm not investing for next quarter. I'm investing for next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I'm investing for my future, for the future of my family. But then she was like, well, is that really viable? And I was like, well, is that enough to take care of your family? And I was like, well, it's not all I do. I do coaching, consulting. I help small businesses grow. And she was like, oh, so like investing is just a supplement. And I was like, well, I also do swing trading, which is more than investing. And that's where you get money quicker. It's not for the long-term gain. It's for the immediate gain. And that's why I truly love doing both. I haven't been a swing trader for long. I've been, all right, my partner, my homeboy, my brother, Z has been working with me for, we've been going strong for like a solid year where I've been actively involved. For about a little over 2 years, I've been investing in the process, and he's been doing more of the legwork and he's been doing most of the legwork and just explaining, as we're going, how this and that is happening and what we're doing. So that way I could be learning as we go. And for probably about 4 or 5 years now, we would have, phone calls here and there, where he would be teaching me little aspects, because he felt that it was definitely something that I had a mind for and that I could do, but it was just something that I hadn't really branched into yet, because I just liked the stock market and I loved investing, and I was spending so much time growing my other business and, doing consulting and things like that, that's really where my passion was. And I was like, I don't know if this is something that I really want to put my time into. And so after much convincing, I've gotten more and more into it over the years. And like I said, I've been actively involved in it pretty steady over the last year. And it's been great. So she was like, well, what exactly is that? And I was like, well, mostly what you're dealing with is Forex and like crypto or currency, so to speak. It doesn't really matter. It could be crypto. It could be indexes. It could be any Forex, the euro, the yen, the Aussie, it's like you're looking at the spectrum of currency, and that's what you're doing. And while you're looking at all these different charts, and she's like, so what does that mean? She's like, is the dollar in bad shape? And I was like, no, we're fine. I was like, I'm not worried about the dollar. I understand that some people are worried about the dollar. I'm not worried about the dollar. And oddly enough, some of my partners are more concerned with it than I am, and some are less concerned with it than I am. There's only so much that you can predict when you're saying, well, where is this currency going, for the long term? But swing trading isn't for the long term anyways. Swing trading, you're looking at momentary changes. And it's really incredible, and it's cool when you understand it. Because what you're doing is you're looking at charts. You're looking at fluctuations in the market. You're looking at how, and it's constantly changing. It's constantly changing. You're looking at the way one currency versus another currency is changing, like the euro to the yen to the dollar to the Canadian dollar, the franc to the, it's like you're looking at the changes, the comparison from this to this. And it does not matter whether the value is going to go up or down. All that truly matters is whether you predict correctly. That's it. You've got to predict correctly. And she was like, so you're betting? No. She was like, it sounds like you're betting. And I was like, no. That's a misconception, right? It's a common misconception because people look at investing in the stock market and crypto and, all these different things like this. They look at it as like, you're betting, you're gambling, you're hoping. No. What you're doing is making strategic moves, calculated positioning. So you watch the market. You watch the fluctuation in the chart, right? And as you watch it grow over 15-minute increments, 30-minute increments, hour increments, 3-hour or 4-hour increments, you watch how, and then you can go back and look at how has it looked over the last week? How has it looked over the last day? How you can look at these different aspects. And as you're looking at all these different aspects, you're trying to see, and there's a lot of business aspects that come to it, and there's a lot of psychological aspects. You look at the trend and you see, is it gonna pivot? And if it's gonna pivot, which way is it gonna go? Like, it's going up, is it gonna pivot down? If it's going down, is it gonna pivot up? And if it's gonna pivot, that's all you have to predict is when it's gonna pivot and if it's gonna pivot. And if you're able to do that, then it doesn't matter whether it goes up and down. It just matters that you're on the right side. So if the value of the yen goes down, but you sold your yen and it goes down, then you made money. If the value of the yen goes up and you bought in, then you've made money. And that's ultimately what you want to do. And some people have this idea of, well, you've got to, probability-wise, you've got to statistically win more times than you lose. And a good friend told me that he actually had luck, well, not luck, but he had developed practicing where it didn't matter if it was more legs that he won, it just mattered if he won the right ones. And I started thinking about it now because my ego gets the best of me a lot. My ego, it's like, no, I got to win more times than I lose, right? And he's like, not necessarily, man. You don't always have to win more times than you lose. Just those wins have to outweigh the losses. And it's I know that to be true. It's completely, absolutely true. But in my own head, sometimes I'm like, no, 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 no. I have to have more consecutive wins than losses. Nobody wants to take L's when you're investing. Never. Absolutely. When you're trading, you don't want to take an L. But you know what? It happens. There's nobody that never takes an L. Warren Buffett has taken L's before. Doesn't matter. Ultimately, Kevin O'Leary, Mark Cuban, some of the greatest investors, they've taken L's before. And when they do, don't cry over it. They learn and they move forward. So that's really what you got to do. What you've got to do is you've got to study the charts. You've got to understand what's happening in the trends. You've got to understand different legs of a trade. You've got to understand, how the candlesticks work. You've got to understand what it is. You don't have to understand what's going on in the countries. You don't have to know about why the currency is changing. You have to understand that it's changing and when it's going to change and if it has the momentum to get past certain humps, so to speak, right? So there's all different trend patterns and you can study the trend patterns, and that's honestly the best way you'll ever really get a grasp on it. Is there's multiple books. My boy Z gave me a list of books and I've cracked into some. I have not nearly read the extent that he has, but he's also been doing this for 20 years. So him giving me all that knowledge in the last 4 years, yeah, I'm learning. I'm not on his level, but that's okay. I don't gotta be. And you don't gotta be on my level. And you don't gotta be on his level. But what you gotta do is understand, is this something you're interested in? And if it is, are you willing to put in the work and the time and the effort to really grow your knowledge and understand what it is you're getting into? You're absolutely not gambling. You're not. It's not gambling. You are taking strategic moves and positioning yourself to be the most profitable. That's it right there. That's it. You're positioning yourself to be as profitable as possible, but minimizing your risk factors. Now, there are some people who like to get out there and they're real reckless, they're real volatile, and they like to go for big scores. And I'm not throwing shade on those people. There's nothing wrong. Everybody wants to win big. Y'all want to win big. Everybody wants to hit the jackpot. You know what I'm saying? But even though you want to hit the jackpot, you want to do it strategically and you want to make calculated moves and decisions so you position yourself in the optimal moment to have that win. Because if you're not in the optimal moment in that chart, if you haven't bought in or sold or gotten out at the right time, it costs you big. It's not gambling. It's calculated, strategic maneuvers. So you've got to take the time to study, expand your knowledge, understand what it is, and then let's get cocky and get in there. Let's start making some money. Like I said, I just wanted to break that down a little bit because, like I said, I had this great conversation and we were talking and it was so cool. And she thought this was a great thing. She was like, wow, that's really cool that you can do that. And I was like, yeah, the goal is that as long as this continues to grow, then I can slow down on a little bit of other things and be able to branch out into some other areas that I've wanted to for a while, but things like, that have been my bread and butter and, Kimberly working and things like that. It's like just kind of something we've just always done to maintain where we're at and to continue to progress. But ultimately, we want to get beyond where we're at and hit that next level. And so that's what I want you to understand is that it comes down to knowledge. It comes down to studying. It comes down to knowing what you're getting involved into. A lot of people will see it as gambling, but it's not. All right, with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Y'all go out and y'all go out and, get that W, you know what I'm saying? Y'all go out and win big today. Make that money. Y'all have a blessed day. It's your boy. I'm out.